Why does obsessing over your weight potentially cause weight?
It's one of those things where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if you focus on the positive, you get more positive. If you focus on a perceived negative, you'll get more negative.
There's two big things of why I think obsessing over the weight can cause a lot of problems. Number one, oftentimes when I get a client that looks at a scale and they see it going the wrong way, they have these like actions that don't support them to lose weight. They let the scale dictate how they respond. The second one is it's a post metric. I think the more important metric is how many times did they drink water? How many times did they walk outside for 45 minutes? How many times did they track their sleep? Those are pre-metrics. How do we overcome the obsession around the scales?
And this will be the toughest thing. Anybody who has a problem stepping on the scale, this will be the toughest thing I will ever ask of you. Allow it to be.
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing that comes to mind. What about for you?
I broke this down into 3 steps, and you can add to this if you want. The first step is when you step on that scale, you look at the number, you write the number down. Right next to it, you write down the immediate sentence that you said when you hopped on that scale. The second step is write down the emotion that you have after that immediate thought. And then the third step is to write down these actions that you do. If you focus on just these 3 steps, it will significantly open up your eyes to what's happening when you're doing this. Guys, you ever wonder why when you focus on the scale just seems to move the wrong way? And potentially you obsessing about the scale might actually be causing the weight gain that you're seeing. In today's episode, I got my boy here, Nick Nash, and we are going to go over why obsessing over the weight or the scale might be causing you to gain the weight. Welcome back, Nick Nash, aka Slick Nash, aka when I get into my flow states. This is a new one. When I get into deep flow states. By the way, this was a one-trier. We call it BNE, which means Big Nick Energy. So that's the new one. Slick Nash BNE.
Thank you for having me back.
Welcome back,
funny part
man.
about that is Slick is my dad's nickname.
Really?
And so his
it works.
email is Slick Nash. That's why I was like,
Shout out to Nick's dad.
Yeah,
So I didn't even know that. So
I know. That's fire.
Okay, so let's get into it, man. We broke this down into two big questions. Because I think we can get pretty deep on this, and I'm hoping we get pretty deep on this. Is the first question is, why does obsessing over your weight potentially cause weight gain?
What's the second question? And then we'll go right back to the first.
And the second, good. And the second question here, guys, is we're gonna go over essentially a practical way we can overcome this because we've seen it. By the way, if you guys are hearing us for the first time, I didn't do the credibility part. But we're both trainers. We operate 2 facilities here in Las Vegas. So we've seen the athletes that are successful and we've seen the athletes that are not. And we're going to give you guys the play-by-play on the back half of this.
I love it.
Thanks, Nick.
I'm with it. So why obsessing over weight loss is making you gain weight? So the first thing that comes to mind is it's stressing you out mentally and stressing you out emotionally. With that, it's one of those things where your attention goes, your energy flows, right? So if you focus on the positive, you get more positive. If you focus on a perceived negative, you'll get more negative.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of like how we talked about last time, trying to watch paint dry. If you're stepping on the scale every single day, expecting big changes, but not seeing them, emotionally, that devastates you. It's just like when you paint a wall and you're sitting there minute by minute, touching it, be like, is it dry yet? Is it dry yet?
Yeah.
Is it dry yet?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And so obsessing over a number, obsessing over the scale, why it's not doing whatever it is you want it to do. That's a big one. Is it'll stress you out mentally and it'll stress you out emotionally. What are your thoughts there?
Good question. There's 2 big things of why I think obsessing over the weight can cause a lot of problems. Number one, oftentimes when I get a client that looks at a scale and they see it going the wrong way, they have these like actions that don't support them to lose weight. So for example, they hop onto the scale, they see 2 pounds go up and they tell themselves, why am I even doing this? So that immediate thought or conversation they had with themselves, they feel frustrated. And when they're frustrated, they have a set of actions. And their set of actions can be, well, I'm going to go to McDonald's and crush out hot and spicy.
Call it self-sabotaging behavior.
Yeah, they have self-sabotaging behavior after seeing the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like one of the big things. They let the scale dictate how they respond. So that's one big reason I think that obsessing over the scale can cause you to gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is it's a post metric. It's a metric that we see post. And I think the more important metrics, and we'll go over kind of the practical sides, are like, how many times did they drink water?
Mm-hmm.
How many times did they walk outside for 45 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
How many times did they track their sleep? You know, how many times are they working out? How many steps are they getting? Those are pre-metrics. And I think a lot of times we're so indoctrinated. That's the first time I've ever used that, Nick. You proud?
You used it right.
To really look at the scale, because we say weight loss, we just see it all over the things, but we never see 3 times a week workout frequency.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see them eating X amount of protein on a daily basis. You know, that's just not regularly seen. So we think weight loss and seeing that actually go down is an indication of progress, but really it's an indication of what you did prior to seeing that metric.
Mm-hmm.
So those are like the 2 big things. If you can boil it down, what is the biggest thing you think that they should be really focusing on when they're seeing that scale?
And this will be the toughest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who has a problem stepping on the scale, this will be the toughest thing I will ever ask of you. Allow it to be neutral. The number is what it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do in that moment to change the number.
Yes.
And the number is, it's a post metric of what you have been doing for the previous 2 weeks, right? We talked about this on a different podcast. The body is 2 weeks behind. You can work out super hard for a week. And when you work out super hard for a week, at the end of the week, if you step on the scale, you maybe will have lost half a pound at max.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And whereas if you're, and another thing with the scale is it fluctuates so much from morning to night. Mm-hmm. That's what I think a lot of people who are obsessive over the scale don't really realize. You could weigh yourself every hour on the hour for an entire day, and the number would be different every time, right? And so getting into that, it's like looking at it through a microscope, right? Yeah. It's, I'm running on a tangent. So neutrality is what I would ask from you when you step on the scale. It's not good. It's not bad. Just observe whatever it is. It's just a metric. Just like a 45-pound plate, you pick it up, it's 45 pounds. 45 pounds isn't good. It's not bad. It is whatever you make it out to be. The number on the scale is exactly the same way. It is not good. It's not bad. It just is what it is.
Guys, if you're listening to this right now, Nick is speaking not from like, oh, he studied this on the books. He's speaking from an episode that we did a while back when you lost your 300 pounds. And you use this neutral thinking. 100 pounds. They're like, dang, that guy's...
I'm Ethiopian, bro.
Yeah, but it was a moment in your weight loss journey where you used and leveraged this neutral thinking. And the follow-up question is like, what did that neutral thinking result post like next day and post week? Because you're like, it is what it is, as opposed to like, nothing is working, I should just quit.
Being more neutral allows you to find that's really going to bug me. Being more neutral allows you to find the upside, as opposed to 90% of the thoughts we have in a day are negative, right? For the general population, have more negative bias for anything. So if I look at this and I think negatively about it, cool. My ensuing actions are ultimately going to be negative because they're going to be filled with negative emotions. Whereas if you can look at it as neutral, that's a wonderful place to be, because just like you have the option to go negative, you have the option to go positive with it as well. And so when talking to somebody who has been obsessive over the scale, first thing I like to talk to people about is frequency. I need you hopping on the scale maybe once a week. Sunday morning when you get out of bed. Cool. you're skinniest in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you do it, make it consistent and make it once a week. And all the other metrics that I want you to focus on and appreciate and have gratitude for are, how are you feeling? What's your energy like? Are your clothes fitting differently?
Yeah.
Right? Those are the first three that I can come up with right off the top of the dome.
Yeah.
But if you can focus on those and be like, wow, like I feel great. Even if your number's not changing, if you feel great, the feeling of great, the feeling that good feeling is going to have you be more motivated. It's going to allow you to work harder. It's going to allow you to work towards those results that you're seeking. Whereas if you look at the number and you automatically go negative, we've already kind of talked about self-sabotaging behavior. Everybody has self-sabotaging behavior. And as soon as you fall into that pattern, that's a tough one to get out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think you're 100%. The path of neutrality will give you those three questions. How am I feeling? What's my clothes feel like? What was the last one?
How am I feeling?
What does my clothes feel like?
How are my clothes? We fucked up.
It's okay. We'll just do two. But anyways, on this next question, you did bring up something. I know you're gonna think about it.
Oh, bro,
you're gonna get it.
Going. I know.
But you did bring up the scale thing, and I don't think it was off tangent, because at the very beginning stages, especially if you're a little bit overweight, 30, 40, 50, maybe you are on the 300, maybe you are in the 250. I think looking at the metrics of weight loss is pretty cool at the start, because you will see it linearly go down. But at some point in your journey, you get to a point where you're like at Nick's weight or my weight. You're just 100%. My weight can fluctuate 10 to 15 pounds in a day. And a lot of times people assume that if the weight starts to kind of fluctuate more, they're going the wrong path. But I'm telling you, you're actually going the right way. And you'll get to a point where you're so frustrated, like myself and Nick, that we just stop looking at the scale entirely. So an indication you're going the right way is that fluctuations start to get real. Okay, assuming you're past the 300 mark, you're past the 250 mark, it starts to kind of jump a little bit. So one thought is, it is what it is, but at some point you're going to be like, I'm actually going the right path. Which is a really cool thought. And then it creates, again, a plethora of actions that will continually, that allows you to continue to do things that's going to allow you to lose the weight.
So people, when they think about weight loss, right, let's say whatever weight you're at is here. When they think about weight loss, they think it's just like this.
Yeah. And
like a gradual decline. Gosh, it would be so nice. Yeah. Right. But it is really like this. You'll go down, and then maybe you'll go up. Maybe you'll go slightly above where you started, and then you'll go down. And then you go up, and then you go down, and then you go up, and then you go down, and then you go up, and then you go down, and then you go up, and then you go down, and then you go up, and you go down. Right? The gradual trajectory of it is down. But if you look at it, like I said, every hour, every day, you'll see fluctuations.
It's fascinating.
Right? And it's uberly fascinating, especially when you like to see the data. But when you're starting in a place where you don't like the way you look, you don't like the way you feel, you want to be able to look and feel better and have a greater perception of yourself, those are devastating in the beginning.
For sure.
To be seeing this, right? Starting here, and then you go up a little bit, and then you go down, and then you go up, and then you go down. That's devastating. Mentally and emotionally, that is devastating. So the biggest thing is, cool. Again, look at it once a week. When you're looking at it once a week, we'll look at it from a place of neutrality. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a data point. And when you look at it with neutrality, cool. Now find, how's my energy level? How are my clothes fitting? And I had the third one when you were talking, but I freaking forgot it again. Yeah. But look for those points, because when I lost 100 pounds and I kept it off for a majority, like I'm 20 pounds over where I want to be right now. Right.
Yeah.
And I hop on the scale once every 2 weeks. I'm trying to get it to once a week because I just really don't care for the scale. But I'm trying to get it once a week just so I can watch that data point. But right now it's at once every 2 weeks. And it is interesting how mentally and emotionally daunting just hopping on a scale is. Because it's like in the past 2 weeks, all last week I was on vacation.
Yeah.
I was up in Utah. I didn't have the opportunities to work out. I could have forced them. But my family's moving to Ohio. And so like I wanted to get as much one-on-one time. And then when I got back, I went to EDC. So there was 20,000 steps each day. Right. But not like how I'm normally working out. So I was moving, but I wasn't really working out. And so come Tuesday, when I was finally able to work out again, I was like, man, you looking like the marshmallow man, right? Like you big and fluffy. And so after I worked out on Tuesday, I worked out yesterday, I worked out today. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I feel back to where I was when I left last week. And I'm excited to step on the scale this Friday, just to kind of see where my numbers are at. But if I would have stepped on the scale Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. You'll be battling. You'll have a bad relationship with the scale at some point, right?
Facts.
Yeah. So you're just trying to see that you're doing something wrong,
100%.
But then you gave yourself a little bit of some grace.
100%.
I think the third one is performance. Like how are you performing in there? Is that the third one? Did I just make that up?
I mean, that sounds good.
Sounds good.
Let's run with it. We'll get the three when we run it back. But that is also, so when you go to lose weight, right? How are your clothes fitting is huge. That usually doesn't come for about a month though.
Yeah.
Your clothes don't start to fit differently after maybe about a month to 6 weeks. Your energy levels, they freaking rise through the roof, right? And then a big one for anybody who's in the functional fitness realm is, how are you performing?
Changes the game.
Because if you can focus on those three metrics as opposed to what the scale is saying, one of the, like we kind of hinted to before, your motivation, your discipline, and your ability, your grit, your resilience, your ability to push harder, to dig deeper, goes through the roof.
So good. One more reason why looking at the scale is a very poor metric is especially if you're doing strength and conditioning, which is the type of exercise that we do. We squat, we deadlift, we do pull-ups, we do push-ups. You're building muscle. And especially if you're a person that's listening to this and you've never done any of that and you're going through a weight loss program that has strength, your body's going to look different, especially if you're doing that. Because if you're adding muscle, you're squatting more and more and more, fat doesn't move that. Muscle does. So it might not look like how you've seen it in the past. Because in the past, you were just a possum. You were drinking sodas, you were walking 20,000 steps, and you had 8 hours of sleep every single day, right? You were just a possum. So now you're actually lifting weight. So is possum a bad word, dude?
No, bro. I'm just imagining little possums with people heads running around. Continue.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny.
So that's another indication of why it can be very detrimental in your journey of obsessing over it. So let's go over we've kind of answered some of them already as we're kind of talking about this. How do we overcome the obsession around the scale?
I think one of the first thing that comes to mind is find a structure and have faith in the structure, whether that structure is hiring a personal trainer, whether that structure is going to classes regularly, right? 3 times a week, 5 times a week, whether they're functional fitness, CrossFit, Orange Theory, HIIT classes, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And whatever structure you choose, whatever one fits best for you in your lifestyle, jiu-jitsu, dance, whatever, running, make sure you stick to it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing that comes to mind. What about for you?
I broke this down into 3 steps, and you can add to this if you want. The first step is when you step on that scale, you look at the number, you write the number down, whatever it is, 170, 180, 210. Right next to it, you write down the immediate sentence that you said when you hopped on that scale. And it's going to be very showing on how you respond to that based on that first sentence that you said. An example, if I hop on the scale and you tell yourself, you're a piece of crap. You didn't lose a pound like we planned. The immediate thought. So that's like, write down the thought. That is like the first step to this. The second step is write down the emotion that you have after that immediate thought. So, for example, you're a piece of crap. I feel angry. And when I show up angry, I actually go for angry ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
So I get 2 or 3 angry ice creams.
Mm-hmm.
Post angry ice cream, I'm not working out tomorrow because I'm just like comatose.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm still kind of hungry. Then I'll have another ice cream. Maybe not ice cream, but something pretty sweet.
I get you.
Because I have these huge crashes.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step, like I said, is to write down the scale, write down the thought. Second step is write down the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third step is to write down these actions that you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you focus on just these 3 steps, it will significantly open up your eyes to what's happening when you're doing this,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably the most important thing. If you guys want to take anything today and clip anything out, this is the part that you want to do it.
What emotion are you trying to suppress, or what emotion are you trying to feel behind the action? Right? Because I think that's a huge part in weight loss is a lot of people are eating. They don't know why they're eating, but they're overeating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And usually for most people, it's because they're bored, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or for some people, it's because they feel lonely,
Yeah.
right? Or for some people, it's because they're stressed out.
Right.
So I think that's such a huge subtle component. And I love that because it allows you to bring awareness to, oh, okay, cool. Why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I remember what I was going to say before you got me off on possum people, bro. Like that was such a hard thought to come back from because that was wonderful. Thank you for that. I think one point to I guess we could put it in here. How do we overcome this challenge is have a realistic expectation of what you want to look like when you lose weight, right? Because if you're someone who is, so for myself, right? So I only talk from experience. I'm 6 foot right now. I'm about 220, 225.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how lean I will get, how tall are you?
5'6". I was gonna say 5'9".
I was about to.
Hey, my ID though. My ID says Royce 5'9".
So
5'6".
I will never be 5'6" and 175 pounds.
Yeah.
No matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, right? That's an unrealistic expectation of an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 300 pounds, in the beginning, I wanted to lose weight, have abs. And the person I had in my brain was someone who was 5'10",
yeah,
$135, right?
Ooh.
Like it was my buddy.
Back then.
It was my buddy named Trent, right? Because all the girls loved Trent. I was like, cool, I want to look like Trent. I will never look like Trent. Yeah. I look like Trent maybe in like the 5th grade, right? Like
when you're 5'10".
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like one of the biggest things how you overcome this challenge is make sure you have a realistic expectation of what it is you want to look like.
Right.
It wasn't until I, in my brain, came to the concept of, oh, okay, cool, I'm 300 pounds or I'm 280 or I'm 260. Who do I want to look like? The person I chose that I wanted to look like, that I wanted to kind of model a body after was Ray Lewis. Middle linebacker for the Ravens, right? He's 6 foot. He's like 240, 250 shredded.
Stacked.
And so as soon as I was able to wrap my mind around that, like, okay, cool, I'm never going to be stick figure skinny with abs, but I could be like thick boy abs. And as soon as I wrapped my mind around that, it was easier to find the wins along the way, and it was easier to have a goal that was realistic to work towards, right? Because whenever a majority of my personal training clients are women, and so one of the toughest things when personal training anybody, especially women, is what is your expectation that you want to look like, right? If you are 5'9" and you're thick, right? You got thick legs, means you're gonna live forever, right? You will never be 5'2" in a gymnast.
You know, like Jennifer Aniston.
I'm sorry,
listen, lady.
Right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But with that being said, if you're with your dimensions, you can maybe look like Laura Horvath, right? You can maybe look like a Tia Toomey, right? Yeah. Giving you a more realistic expectation of an outcome. And once whether it's for you personally or whether it's for a client, once you're able to have them get more of a realistic outcome, realistic expectation, a lot of the obsessiveness over the number tends to go away because I'm no longer focused on, I recently had a personal training client. Her goal before her wedding was she was like 140-ish.
Yeah.
She wanted to get down to 120, right?
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, okay, cool. Like we could do that, but there's a lot of work that has to be done to get there. We could get there,
Yeah,
right?
We're just gonna do marathon runs the whole
Right.
time.
And so, because she had gotten there to that number in the past, right, by doing a specific series of things.
Right.
And so this woman travels a bunch, right?
Mhm.
So we had 90 days. She was gone for maybe 35, 40 of those 90 days,
Yes.
right? Just traveling, which is fine. She's a very busy lady. So then the goal was 140 to 120, right?
Mhm.
Part of the way through us working together, about a third of the way through,
Yeah.
we had the conversation of, hey, like, I understand this is what your goal is. I don't know if we're necessarily going to get there specifically. We can,
Yeah.
but you're not gonna like me, and you're not gonna like the process of what it would entail to get there, right? So then it was like, after we had a candid conversation, it was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, when I tried on my dress last time, I was like 128, right? 130, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So like, what's your goal? She's like, I want to be like 128, 127.
Just
Perfect, right? So then now that that's your goal, now we have a realistic expectation of what it is that we want to look like.
Mhm.
Then the stress of losing 20 pounds becomes way less stressful than losing just 12.
So good.
Right.
Yeah.
And once we were able to kind of redefine that goal, even with her traveling abroad as much as she does, we were able to get her down there to her goal by her wedding day.
Yeah.
Shout out, right? But it was only after we were able to set a realistic expectation.
It's so good.
Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense, because a lot of times when you, just like, I'm going to use you for example. 220 was like the back of your mind that was like, I want to get to 220 or a little bit less than that, like Trent, right? And is it Brent? Trent.
It was Trent. He was like 145, bro.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was so unrealistic.
And then you type in, you go to the Googles, you're like, Ray Lewis, how much does he weigh? How tall is he? Oh wait, he's 240. I'm 240. Wait, I got to do now.
Or 240 is 20 pounds less than what I am, or 30 pounds less than what I am right now.
Yeah, and it shifts your mind immediately into like, I don't need to lose weight. Now I need to add muscle. Now I need to do some recomposition, which leads us to the second part to this. Because your first step was like, let's set realistic expectations by essentially picking different categories of athletes, right? I like to have like 3 blanket ones because there's multiple body types. There's a marathon runner, right? There's like a soccer player, right? And then there's like a running back. Very different styles. You can even have extremes. Super power lifter. Some people want those bodies, which is great. Cool. No big deal. So once you set those expectations down, you want to also ask yourself this next question, which I think is going to be more important in your next 90 days, is what can that body do? And if I can do, like, where am I at in terms of what Ray Lewis is doing? So type in Ray Lewis workouts and just see what he's doing. How much is he squatting? What is his 40 time? And how quickly can you close that gap? Now, you might not be exactly as Ray Lewis stats, but if your 40 is 9 seconds and it drops down to 7 seconds, that body's going to look a lot different. If his back squat is 600 and yours is 100, now it's at 200, your body's going to look a lot different. And that's why I think it's a really cool thing to not only just like picture the body, but ask yourself the final question of like, what can that body do?
And who do I need to become to have that body? What habits do I need to change? What
you're going meta, Nick.
what emotions does that person with that body feel? That version of myself, right? And start embodying them.
I want to stay on that one real quick, because you just said the be do have concept. I want to have the Ray Lewis body. I got to do all of these 3 things that Ray Lewis can do. The B component is the mindset. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of what you're going. Like, what is Ray Lewis telling himself? In fact, if you type in Ray Lewis motivational, that's what he's telling himself, right? Like some of the stuff that he's saying in his mind, I'm like, oh, I could have used that on my last rep. Oh, I could have used that when I didn't want to go to the gym. Oh, I could have used that. So the B component is the mindset. It's the thoughts. And this is when you get super deep, but like I said, On the opposite end, we talked about the problems. If you just understand the thought, it can create all of these actions for you. Now we're going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
If you can change those thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
if you can borrow those thoughts, whether it's from Ray Lewis, Nick, Leona Lewis, I don't care. Watch it proliferate into something super amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always in the thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
which is unreal.
Two things. So first thing, I think the general public has for whatever reason, they have a notion, right? That the only way to lose weight is to be in a huge caloric deficit, right? That is a stigma is the word I was looking for. There's a huge stigma that the only way to lose weight is to be in a massive caloric deficit. And that's one way to do it. It's not fun.
It's not fun.
Awful.
Yeah.
Right. But another way to do it is to build muscle. Right. So once you understand, like, hey, cool, the quickest way to lose fat is to build muscle. How do you build muscle? Well, you can't be in a super huge caloric deficit because you're not going to be able to sustain energy output. And especially in the beginning, sustaining energy output's huge. So first thing, the quickest way to lose fat is to build muscle. Right. And then the second thing, based off of what you just barely said, is you can borrow thought patterns. You can borrow thought patterns from people. But one of the big things that I personally did when I was losing a bunch of weight is I borrowed other people's confidence, right? I borrowed the confidence of my first CrossFit coaches and telling me that I could do it. I borrowed the confidence in my brother Adam, telling me that, at 280, 300 pounds, that I could go run and play basketball with him, right? Yeah. Wherever you are in your fitness journey, find somebody you trust. Maybe ask them where they see, because it's cognitive dissonance, right? Where you see yourself and where you're actually at are in two totally different places, right? So if you can find somebody trusted, you can ask your parents, but they're biased because they love you. Find somebody you trust and ask them, oh, okay, cool. Like, where do you see me in this realm, right? Maybe they see you here and you're like, oh, crap. I only see myself here. How can I bridge the gap? When you're bridging the gap, borrow their confidence, right? And this is one of the most beautiful parts of being a coach. This is one of my absolute favorite parts of coaching is when people get to borrow the confidence you have in them, right?
So good.
1 rep days. We had 1 rep days last week. It was beautiful to watch people fail.
Yeah.
Beautiful for me to go over and give them a couple of, you got this, right? Or just look at them like, just get on your freaking bar, right? And in those moments, I have to make them funny because that's part of the reason why people come and hang out. But in those moments, they're borrowing your confidence. They don't think that in that moment they can do whatever it is, right? You know that they can do whatever it is, right? It's like when someone's snatching, they get the bar all the way to here and they're like, I can't get under it. I'm like, no. Yeah. Getting underneath it is not a problem. You got commitment issues, okay? Show me you ain't got commitment issues and commit to getting underneath the bar, right? Yes. Or use more legs. You use more legs, this goes to this, and all of a sudden you're under there, right? And it's so funny to watch people go and they'll close their eyes. They're like, fully committed to the confidence that you have in me. Yeah. And then they're like, I'm underneath it. I'm like, yes, right? Yeah. You borrow my confidence for a split second in that you have the capability and capacity to do whatever it is I'm asking you to do. And then you executed it, right? So you executed it on blind faith and confidence that this particular individual has in you, right? Yeah. So in relation to weight loss, do the same thing. Find somebody you trust, right? Ask them where they see you currently, where they see the potential of where you can go. Maybe have the conversation of, this is how I see myself currently. This is where I think I can go. And then
where do you think I can go? Yeah.
Identify the differences in the gap and then work to close it. Because very few people, not nobody, we'll say a very small percentage of the population, we'll say 10%. 10% of the people are operating where they think they can, and it is matched by where they actually are. Yeah. Most people are operating where they think they can, and it is drastically below where they could be.
Typically, where your beliefs is set is also where your productivity is going to be hit.
Capped yourself.
Right. So, and I love that. We're going this is 4 layers deep now. You're borrowing thoughts. And here's the thing. There's no rules on how many thoughts you can borrow. It's just like going into the clothing rack and you're like, I want to try this one. I want to try that one. I want to try this color. I want to try that size. And at some point you're going to be like, oof, This one feels nice. And it's a Nick quote. Get underneath that bar. You got this. That's the one that becomes eventually, when you borrow enough thoughts, really, really, really interesting thoughts that you never wear, one of them will stick. And then you could leverage that for a very, 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 very long time, which is super, it's underrated. But sometimes, like, just pick your top 3 thoughts when you hit those moments and then just use it up until it can no longer work anymore.
Until it's no longer serving you. And once it's no longer serving you, pick something else.
Pick something else. And here's the new thoughts that come in, how they handle failure. And that's also special because I've seen you push people too, and then they miss it. And then you'll come like, hey, now we know where you're going to miss. I didn't know you can get out of that clean. We got to start working on your front squat now. What a gift, right? High five. Nice work. Beep, beep. And then they're like, oh, man, that's cool.
I failed, but I'm still getting praised for it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And he said it was a gift, and now it's another thought. You see? So the problem is people are just trying to borrow these affirmations without any context behind it. They didn't fail once, and they're trying to recite affirmations. I was like, dude, it's not even gonna work. It doesn't. You can't hang an ornament without no tree. You need the tree to happen. And partly why you're excited on those max days and those test days, on Murph days, is to be able to hang that. I was like, oh, I got this perfect ornament. I want to hang it on that tree, whether it's good or bad. I want to hang it on there. So let's talk about like clothes they can borrow from Nick. You give 3, or well, no, let's just make this easy. Let's just do 2 before they attempt the failure, and then 2 if they fail.
So quotes that they can use before failure, and then quotes that they can use post failure.
It could just be one, to make it easy.
One first. Because the first thing that'll come to mind when you say hang ornaments, one of my favorite things is to live in people's head rent free. I love it. Like, I love when it's like I have a day when I'm not coaching and I come back and like they're like, yesterday I was doing this and then I thought of you and then I executed it and I was like, yes, like my job is we're in the sphere that we need to be. Pre-failure, turn your brain off.
Turn your brain off.
Turn your brain off. Right?
Just get after it.
Turn your brain off. That's the first one. Because normally when people can't do a lift or execute a lift, it's because they're thinking about it too much. Okay, cool. I got to press through the floor with my legs, and then I got to get a vertical chest, and then I got to explode through my toes. And after I do that, then I got to use my shoulders to shrug, and then I got to use my arms, and then I got to drop underneath the bar, and then I got to catch. No.
They've already lifted the bar 100 times before they even lifted it.
Bro, like, and it's 1 billion pounds, right?
And they also missed it too.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So it's turn your brain off, right? Turn your brain off.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, good or bad, turn your brain off. Now, let's say they turn their brain off, they did it, and they failed. Wonderful. Cool. The 2 things I'll give them. The first thing I'll give them is, okay, cool. Great job. That's what we were looking for. Good effort.
That's a max. That's a true max. That's
100%.
A true test.
100%, right? You reward good behavior because I want to see more of that. If you failed, if you gave your all and you missed it, wonderful. I just wanted you to give your all. Now we know what your all looks like. Now we can give that in different atmospheres. And then the second thing is, cool. The only thing I would change is I would do this. If they're a high-level athlete, I would do this and this, right? Yeah. So it's like if you missed your snatch, you got it all the way to here, and you dropped, right? But the bar was in front of you. Cool. Yeah. What I would say is you didn't commit enough to it. You did everything we asked of you. You exploded, you got underneath it, you locked it out. Wonderful. A good miss would be missing the barbell behind you. Why? Because that means you committed to it.
You committed, you pulled high enough.
You pulled high enough, you placed it to where it needed to be, and you were committed to get underneath the bar. 100%. Right? Here, when you lose it out in front of you, it's a commitment issue.
Yeah.
You got it up there, cool. You did 3/4 of the work. The last little quarter of the work was trusting that your technique and your muscles and everything was solid enough to have it behind you.
Yeah.
So that's turn your brain off.
I like that.
Post is great job. I don't even care what happened.
It's just great job. Doesn't even matter.
Great
That's
job.
So
Doesn't
good.
matter. And then after that, it's like, okay, cool. The only thing I would change is this. It's our high-level athlete. I would change this and this.
Yeah.
And then move on.
Because when you say great job, to me, it's like it almost gives me more stuff. Why did I do great? Why was it a great job? And then it exposes all of these good nuggets beyond that.
Why did he see it as great?
Yeah.
Like,
creates a different layer of
Why?
things.
In
Very
my
cool.
brain, I was like, no, I'm a POS. I failed this, that, and the third. And it's like, nah, great job.
Yeah.
And like when you make eye contact with them, you bring them the
Yeah.
good energy. Like, great job. That's what we
Yeah.
wanted. They're like,
wait, I didn't even hit it. Yeah.
like
Yeah. It's really
I
interesting.
only thought I got a good job when I executed. Like, nah,
Mhm.
I just want you to give me effort.
Yeah.
You give me effort. Cool. That's what we're looking for. I can work with
Yeah.
effort all day. Side tangent thought. Two things. First thing is we were talking about limiting beliefs earlier.
Mhm.
Self-sabotaging thoughts. When an athlete says, I don't like this,
Yeah.
they don't want to do something because they don't like it. Cool. You've capped your capacity way down here.
Right.
You are underperforming in whatever it is your capacity is. Why? Because you don't like something. You are uncoachable.
Nice.
That's one of the biggest things that is a detriment to an athlete's performance, right? Average Joe, high performing is, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Cool. Then you'll never get past that. You'll never give me a great enough effort to get past that until you change your mindset of, okay, I don't like this. I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm going to do it anyway.
The growth is on the back half of that, right?
Yeah. Because oftentimes people don't like things they're not good at. So
Ego.
And it's served me for a long time. Like for a long time, I was like, I don't like sales, which I actually don't like, right? But I reframed it and I was like, do I like it because I don't know anything about it, or do I like it? Do I not like it because it doesn't bring me energy, even though I am good at it? And when you get to that, then I think you're like, okay. Or are you just limiting yourself because you've never practiced it? I don't like snatches. How many times have you practiced the snatch on a PVC? Never. It's like maybe you might like it if you're actually good at it. It's hard to find things that you're good at and not like it. And there are some, and that's when you can actually say, I actually don't like it. You know what I mean? Like you did massage and you were really good at it, and you still are exceptional at it, but you're like, it's not my cup filler. You know, I'll do it, but it's not one thing that I would just do all the time. You see what I mean? Okay, so two things for me. Because you borrowed some of Nick Nash's and you can wear his clothes, but if his clothes don't fit, you can try mine. And I actually use this all the time. Every time I get to a moment where I'm about to fail or I want to like hang out let's just put it away. Like this is it. This is for you. I tell myself all the time, I train for this. I've been training for this. And I just revert. I'm a big person that likes to practice drills, practice training. Like even when we're doing all these burpees, I'm almost doing burpees to the side because I'm like, I know at some point I'm going to have to pull this thing out and be like, I was training for this. So it not only affirms that I can actually go for the attempt hard enough that I can fail, but I could also borrow the confidence that I've been doing it way before this. I've been repetition. So it creates this like never ending cycle of me training all the time. I'm like, okay, I've been training for this. So tomorrow I'll train again. So when I get to those moments where I'm about to attempt something big, I've trained for this. Right?
Listen, if you're trying to lose weight, but you're just frustrated because you just can't seem to see any results, we would love to help you out. Now, we've been helping thousands of our athletes over the course of a decade by crafting personalized programs that are not only sustainable, but also effective. Now, if you're ready to transform your health, click on the show notes below, book a call with one of our coaches. We'd love to help you out. Now back to the show. Peace.
But the final thing, so when you do fail, the thing that I say the most a lot of times is there's a golden opportunity here that you have to farm. And when I said it that way, I can see all of a sudden I can see everything that I did in the past or things that I got wrong or things I could have done better. Like you get so much more stuff to work on now, which is really for me the most exciting part. I need to work on that. I need to work on that. I need to work on that. Or I can just be like, maybe it's not my dream to get a 600-pound back squat. It just opens it up to something completely different. There's a golden opportunity here. I don't have to squat every day doing small off. You know what I mean? Like we've all done that. And we're like, it's not my game, man. And it's not that exciting either. So there is a golden opportunity here somewhere. If you do end up failing, just use that. it just kind of sparks another layer of questions that can advance your weight loss journey.
Mm-hmm. So, in closing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your 3 suggestions in overcoming the challenge of why obsessing over weight loss is making you gain weight?
The 3 suggestions. So just to kind of sum up everything, the first thing is just to if you're going to look at the scale, ask yourself the emotion or the thought or the narrative that you're saying. Ask yourself the emotion afterwards, and what does that emotion proliferate? If there's one thing that I want you guys to take out, it's just that. Because everything else beyond that will take care of itself. Awareness is 80% to me. The 20% will kind of just happen on its own, which is super cool. Right? So, and that's really it. That's the only suggestion. Is just to see your sentence after looking at the scale.
Because it opens up, like you said, awareness. It opens up so many more different avenues for which to go look into.
So good.
So for me, just to sum it up, first one would be look at the scale once a week.
Okay.
Maybe once every 2 weeks, just not often. The second one would be have a realistic expectation. And to kind of body type, right? And to touch on that just a little bit more, when you ask people to come up with a body type that they want to look like, that tells you a lot about what their expectations is. I'm like, okay, cool. Who's someone you want to look like? And then they show you a picture. And you're like, that person is a marathon runner. You want to look like that? Okay, cool. Here's what that looks like, right? Or if they show you a CrossFit, I'm like, cool. Like, this is what that entails. If they want to look like a bodybuilder, cool. This is what that entails. Olympic lifter or power lifter, this is what that entails, right? And then kind of break down the structure and allow them to decide whether or not that's really what they're looking for. Or is there just an aspect of whatever they chose that they really want to work to attain, right?
Fire.
And then the third thing is whatever structure you choose, right? Whether it's working with a personal trainer, whether it's HIIT classes, whether it's spin classes, whether it's jiu-jitsu, whether it's going for runs, whatever your structure is, commit to it. Have faith that it'll work.
So good.
Those would be the 3.
Guys, that was it. And we're going to close out on that one. If you guys like this episode, you're probably going to like this episode that Nick and I did. It's probably going to shoot an algorithm of something that you probably need to watch. And that's it, guys. Peace out.
Yep.